Throughout the history, can you tell me which one of the main three Abrahamic religions gave women rights?
This is a big topic, so let me give you the honest, nuanced version rather than a simple answer. Truthfully, all three, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, introduced some legal protections for women compared to what came before, but each also had real limits, and it shifted a lot across centuries and regions. Are you interested in a specific angle, like property rights, marriage law, or a particular time period? That would help me give you something more precise instead of a broad generalization.
Yeah, can we speak about the property rights and marriage laws?
Sure, let's dig into that a bit. So here's the interesting historical distinction. Under classical Islamic law from the 7th century onward, a married woman kept her own legal identity. She could own, buy, sell, and inherit property independently, and her husband had no automatic claim over it. Plus, she kept her own family name. Compare that to historical Judeo-Christian legal tradition in Europe, where under common law, a married woman's property essentially became her husband's. She couldn't sue in her own name. And this only really changed in the 1800s with Married Women's Property Acts. In Jewish law from the Old Testament, daughters could only inherit if there were no sons, and wives generally didn't inherit from husbands at all. So, on that specific point, property and marriage law, Islamic law was notably ahead of its time compared to what existed in Christian Europe for over 1,000 years afterward. Want me to go into inheritance shares or divorce rights next?
Yes, please.
All right, let's talk inheritance and divorce then. On inheritance, Islamic law guaranteed women a fixed share, typically half of what a male relative in the same position would get. But crucially, that share was hers outright, untouchable by her husband or family. Compare that to Jewish law, where daughters only inherited if there were no sons at all, and widows generally got no automatic inheritance from their husbands. They had to rely on a marriage contract called a ketubah for financial protection instead. On divorce, this is where it gets more complicated across all three. Islamic law gave women the right to initiate divorce through a process called khulai, and she kept her dowry. Jewish law technically required the husband to grant a get out, a divorce document, and historically a woman couldn't remarry without it, which sometimes trapped women whose husbands refused. Christianity, meanwhile, for most of its history, didn't recognize divorce at all, only annulment, so women had far less